friends. Welcome back to another episode of Content Culture. It's your girl, Tomi.
And Nicole.
And we are ready to jump right into it. We have a wonderful roundup every week here on Pop Culture News, recaps from my favorite reality TV shows, and just honestly anything that is trending in the content world. Nicole, as we start every episode, how are you? What's up? Give us a rundown.
I'm good. Just been busy with work and doing all of that. But this weekend I watched Sexy Beasts on Netflix finally. Very excited about that. You were talking about your favorite reality TV shows. This is really about our favorite reality TV shows.
Yes.
This is a two-person podcast.
Sorry, did I say mine? I did. That again, the Leo season rising just happens.
Exactly. But yeah, that was what I really did this weekend, and then watched the Olympics. So really excited about that. What about you?
Well, no, first let's back up a bit. How is Sexy Beast? Because I think you were the one that even shared the trailer in the first place, and I said I will not be watching.
Yeah,
so be with you.
I had not watched it, and my boss at work actually said she watched it, and she was like, it's really cute, really entertaining. So I was like, okay. So I watched 3 episodes over the weekend.
Okay.
And it's really exciting because they're in these costumes. If you know the premise, they are dating blindly because they're in these like prosthetics and costumes. They can't see what the other person looks like.
Yeah.
And then they choose from 3 different options of people they go on dates with. So the whole time you're kind of like, what do they look like? And so as they eliminate people, they like unveil themselves. So you get to see what they look like. And then at the end, like the couple unveils themselves. So it's kind of fun to see, like, do you think they're going to be cute? What do you think they're going to look like? All of that.
So have they dropped all of the episodes, or is it doing
Yes.
okay. Well, I thought someone else said something on Twitter where it was like they wish that they were in an entire costume and not just their head, because it's like if you can still see that they're like a 10 out of 10 body wise, like how much does the face really matter to you at that point? Because at least they're going to be semi attractive if they're on this show.
Yes. Which I think is always the case with reality TV. What I do like is that they kind of cover skin tone, like they are covering the necks and the hands.
Oh, okay.
So you can't really tell like race, which makes it kind of interesting too.
Interesting. So were any of them like complete shocks to you where you're like, oh, dang, they made a mistake here?
Yeah, there were a couple people, like one guy I was like, oh, he is not going to be cute. He's like, his attitude is just like very needy. And then I was like, oh, he's kind of cute. But for the most part, so far, everyone's done like a good job. If you're looking to just like start and watch one episode, the episode with the panda is probably my favorite so far.
Okay, I was about to say, do you think it's a must watch or more of just like it's a cute background show?
It's kind of a cute background show. It's really short, like 20 minutes, maybe 30. So it's like an easy watch.
This is the future of reality TV is always a mystery to me. They're like, how crazy can we get with it, especially with the premiere of F-Boy Island coming this week, which
exactly
I will be watching and tuning into that. But to also get back to your question of what did I do this weekend, pretty much nothing. Did some stuff around the house, and we went and saw Will's mom for her birthday this weekend. And then I also, we finished Are You the One, first of all. So I would say, is it a must-watch? No, but it is a really good like reality TV show to watch of if you like strategy-based things with love. It's kind of like a higher stakes Love Island just because of how it works with trying to find those matches within the house. And it's definitely a lot messier because it is on MTV. So, they're casting these people who, they've got some things to work on, some emotional intelligence that could be improved. But try to figure out like the next season I want to watch with that. And then we also started Survivor for the first time ever.
So did you just pick a random season?
Which is what I was going to do, but I texted my friend and I was like, let me know what to do. And she like gave me a list. So we started with All Star. So have you watched Survivor before?
Yes.
Okay. So we started with All Star season 8. Have you watched that season?
I have not.
Okay. Well, so I love it again because I'm so mad that I have not been doing like all these strategy shows because that's like what I'm really enjoying from reality TV, it seems like, which is a very far difference from almost a year and a half ago now where I was like, guys, I'm not really into reality TV. I watch like 1 or 2 shows maybe, and then here I am now. But we love it, like loving all of the play, and she suggested it this season because it's like the first time people who are all like past winners or people who did like really good in their season, like they know you got to backstab a little bit or do whatever, and they're not afraid to do that to get to the top. But it includes the guy who won the very first season, Richard Hatch. The guy who's like naked all the time.
Yes.
Mm-mm.
Mm.
There's a lot of stuff that happened within that season that like my mouth was just dropped watching. First of all, one, why are producers letting people walk around naked who did not consent? You know, like the other people having to view that.
Sounds like sexual harassment in the
So,
workplace to me,
correct,
but
correct. And then there's a situation that happens where he like brushes up against someone else as he's naked. And everyone thinks that she's taking it too far and freaking out and all of this. And I'm like, did she? Did she?
or did she react how she should?
Appropriately. I'm just like, if anyone did this to you like in the subway or on the bus, you would be saying the exact same thing. So it was very interesting to watch 2004 reality TV from the lens of 2021. But I would like to think in 2004, I would not be the only person who'd be like, this is kind of weird. Sure, I was a child, but
We were at a different point though.
I
Like when you
know.
watch shows from that era, you're like, whoa,
Wow.
whoa.
Yeah, it is a mess, but loving it and excited to keep going with that season. And that has now been what is taking over my life. So,
Nice. I like it.
but should we get into some pop culture things?
Yes. Let's do it.
Want to start off with Britney Spears news. Great news is that she did get the new lawyer, like we talked about. However, her new lawyer has now officially filed to remove Jamie Spears, her father, as a conservator over her estate.
It's wonderful news. This is like what we've been waiting for in the Free Britney like movement. And so I am hopeful. You know, we still don't know how the judge will rule, but I'm so hopeful for her. And she seems to like really be getting her spirit back, which is great to see.
Yeah, have you been seeing the stuff that she's posting on Instagram lately?
Yeah, she's getting a little ooh, tits are
Because-
out. I was like,
right.
okay, girl, go ahead. Why not?
I mean, I love it because it's for some reason the first thing that pops up when I open our podcast.
Yeah, it's never on my page because I don't follow her on my personal anymore, but I'll open content culture and I'm like, oh, Britney Spears and her boobs. Love that for you.
And she took it down, and I thought it was because it was reported or something, like someone told her to take it down, and she put it right back up there with little like starburst things covering her nips. And I'm like, I love that for you. Celebrate your body, girl.
Free the nip.
Right. So I'm also excited for seeing what happens with her. I know I first was like kind of like, dang it, like the goal is to be Free Britney, not like just moving conservators. But even her in her own testimony, she said, like, I just want it to not even be my dad in the first place. Like, you know, so I think this is a great step. And if that's something that helps her out mentally and having someone who like understands her more and knows exactly what she needs and not trying to like use her as a workhorse, I think that's like, you know, definitely a good step in the right direction.
For sure. And I'm hopeful whoever the conservator is, if she does get a new one, is like cares about her, you know, like all the things like she doesn't have to, isn't forced to go to therapy in public and all of those things like she talked about. So I'm excited for her. She seems like a new woman. I love it.
Sure. I also want to share a little bit more about a couple musicians. I didn't talk to you about this beforehand, but can we talk about Kanye West? And he is trying to drop this new album, Donda, which is named after his mother. And what he did was he, you know, sold some tickets for Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta and said, everyone come out. It was very last minute. It was like during the week, the same week on the Friday. So everyone could come and listen to this album. I thought it was going to be a little bit more interactive, but it was truly just them all sitting there for like an hour, hour and a half in this packed stadium. Of course, no mask, considering what Kanye's fan base is at this moment. And he was there in like pantyhose over his face.
It was a true listening party.
It was just a true listening party. He did nothing. He did not say anything. He did not, you know, say thanks for coming. Nothing. And now apparently he's living there like the Phantom of the frickin' Opera.
Wearing the same outfit. He's wearing like this red puffy coat, which in Atlanta in the summer, I don't know if that's the move for me, but Kanye is a genius, so Kanye's Kanye, you know.
Like if you're listening, she's definitely rolling her eyes with that statement. But at what point are we like, should we allow you to keep doing this just because you're giving us money? Like, is this not weird to you, owners, operators of this stadium, that you just let this man live here?
Listen, they've got bills to pay, Tomi.
A quote-unquote billionaire? Bro, just go down to the W Hotel in Buckhead. Get the penthouse suite. it's a little deranged for me. I did see Kim was there too, so that's kind of interesting that they're in the midst of this divorce. She's still there supporting.
Kim and Chloe. Kim was wearing a matching like colors to support Kanye. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. They're co-parenting. So I'm glad that they are attempting to have a good relationship for the sake of their kids, hopefully.
Sure. I just think it's the definition of performative activism. When I saw all over Twitter last year, years beforehand, saying, F Kanye West. He's saying that, slavery was a choice. He's wearing these MAGA hats. He's best friends with Trump, and here he is back again. That stadium was packed. People are ready for this album, saying, oh my gosh, it was so good. Okay. All right. I see who the real ones are now.
Okay, so this is interesting because I agree, but for me, it's like, where do you draw the line? Like, are you going to cancel? For you, you're like, this is performative activism. Like, are we responsible as consumers to any brand that supported Trump, like, no longer support them?
So I was
like, are we boycotting everyone that's for Trump?
I mean, I love some Publix chicken, so. On that note, no. But I was kind of joking in the sense of like performative activism, more of just like performative wokeness. Let me say that of coming on Twitter or anything and just being like, "Wow, Kanye is doing the most out here." I cannot continue to support him, and in the same way that we'll move on to Dababy or Lil Uzi Vert, like knowing what I know about them now. I remember when they first came on the scene, I was like, Dababy, oh my gosh, his teeth, they're amazing. Like he's a Charlotte rapper. I want to support him. And then it just keeps getting worse. Lil Uzi Vert, you see him as this little 5'4" bundle of joy, just like always looking like the fan when he's taking photos with people when he's out in public, looking like he's just, I don't know, so wholesome. And then you learn all this other stuff about him. And I'm like, at this point, I feel I cannot contribute to the reason why people aren't holding you accountable, which is because you're successful and you're making money and whatever in the game. So, I don't think your music is that hot, so I feel okay pulling back. Kanye's a little different because he actually makes good music. No tea, all shade. But I know it is kind of difficult of trying to figure out where you draw that line.
Yeah, I always struggle with that of like, I understand like wanting to hold them accountable and not wanting to support them, but I'm like, so do I delete like any song featuring Dababy that I already had because he's getting money from a stream, right? So
right.
Like my Megan and Dababy, like clearly he has not supported Megan. We hate that, but the song still slaps. Like, do I delete it? Like the Kanye stuff, like when that came out, it was like, so do I never listen to like my old Kanye songs again because he's still profiting from me listening to them? Or do I just start now? And I don't know. I don't think it's a clear-cut answer.
Yeah, and it is.
I called you on it. I was like, you don't know. You don't know. You don't know where people's heads are.
Yeah, it is really hard, especially with the streaming era. Like if it was like, when you boycott other things, you're like, okay, I'm just gonna stop buying. But like with streaming, like you're not really buying it, so it's harder to kind of make that cut. For Kanye, I'm like, yeah, I don't feel good listening to the newer music because of like knowing where his head at and stuff was then. But yeah. I'm like, anything before The Life of Pablo, we're good.
Fair game.
That's how I feel. But yeah, a little bit more about Dababy. So Rolling Loud was also this weekend. That was a music festival that's in Miami every year. Usually has an incredible lineup. This year was, even better. And I think more of the reason why people were a little concerned was obviously COVID, of like, this is one of the first big music festivals to really come back during this pandemic era. It did not seem to stop attendees. It seemed packed. But no one was really enjoying this music. Every concert video I saw, people were just standing there.
I can't remember who it was that I saw. It wasn't a name I recognized, but she was It was a female rapper.
I think was it Issa Rae?
Yes. No. It was someone else. Oh, I saw that too. But she was like, Rolling Loud, make some noise. And the DJ's like, and then the crowd is just like, complete silence.
Ooh.
And then she's like, no, make some noise. Clap it up for me. Silence. I was like,
are you not embarrassed? You should be really embarrassed.
I would have to leave the stage. I would simply have to end the set there. I would say thank you, good night. I actually wouldn't say thank you. I'd be like, fuck you, good night. And I'd be out. I would be out. I'm a Leo. I'm not staying for this.
Yeah, especially, concerts are hard work and energy. Like, if I'm not going to put it out there if you're not giving it back. the disrespect. Like, why are you even here? Just go off and wait for your whatever artist you're waiting for to come on stage.
Especially when I saw like the videos of people in the audience when Megan was on and were like living their life. So I'm like, it like the audience did suck, but like
It didn't suck that much.
they were lit for Megan. Okay, continue.
No. So small tangent, but yeah, Dababy was performing. He decides to bring out someone in a giant baby costume, and he's like, "Guys, guess who's here? Guess who's in this?" Nope, it's not that person. Takes it off, reveals that it's Tory Lanez, an artist that I thought would be one of the easiest to cancel, but apparently not, who shot Megan the Stallion in her foot over this past summer. Um,
and it was right after Megan was on stage too.
Right. And Dababy has been known to be a great friend to Megan, obviously collaborating on multiple different songs. They had a small Twitter beef about it because he had, I don't even know, I think he was just like tweeting with him, or he like retweeted a joke or something that was in reference to disrespecting Megan Thee Stallion in that entire situation. And she decided to just like not F with him anymore. And I think he was like, oh, I'm going to take it a step further and bring him out here on stage. And at this point, I'm just like, why is it a joke to you when it comes to Black women and the respect and the health and supporting them, when there is a clear view of abuse here?
Yeah, to me, it's just like there's a lot of different things to double down on. Doubling down on like your support of an abuser, especially because he came back after he retweeted, and I think he said like, I was misunderstood. I didn't read the whole tweet, whatever, which was kind of, none of us really believed it.
Yeah.
But he said that, and then to like come right after Megan's set and bring this man out, it just feels so disrespectful. Like, why is this something you would double down on? Of all the things you could double down on, like, why would it be supporting an abuser?
Yeah, and for me in this era too, I feel like I don't want to say the word understand, but I can see how it's more difficult when it's someone like who like Dr. Luke, someone who was like very entrenched in the music business, where it's hard to not do work with them. Like specifically Dr. Dre, when it was the Harvey Weinstein things, like knowing how big he was in the industry and the production company, like if you say no to them, it basically means like your career is going to be at a standstill. But Tory motherfucking Lanez, there's no need. Why are you doing this? It's not a life or death situation for your career, so why go up for a guy that you know shot someone? It makes no sense to me. I'm completely baffled every time I see someone, trying to stand.
It just makes me question those people. Like, I'm like, oh, so Dababy like stands on this guy's side, and like Tory Lanez still maintains that like he didn't shoot Megan, all of these things. It makes me wonder, like, so what's Dababy doing in his free time with women in his life?
Correct. I mean, I think that's it is. It just makes me side eye. So it's like, should I cancel, whatever? But it just makes me understand where your priorities are, where your morals are, ethics. And to give quickly a little bit more backstory on the Megan situation of what happened over the summer. So they were like all partying together, I think leaving Kylie Jenner's house, first of all. And it was Megan, another friend, and Tory Lanez in the car. And an altercation happened, and they got out of the car, police were called, and her foot was bleeding. And she tells the police at that moment that she had just stepped on some glass, and that's how she got cuts and stuff on her foot. She went, I think they didn't offer her an ambulance. And I think she took herself to the hospital and got all the x-rays, all that stuff. And it was later that she said, no, I was shot. And it's not her friend in the car that shot her. And the reason why she didn't say that she was shot was because she didn't want the police to know that there was a gun on the scene, a guy with a gun who was angry enough to, or like, mishandled it enough to shoot her. And that would give them a reason, the cops, to be able to possibly shoot them. So she was trying to save and protect everyone else there. And so Tory Lanez, since this time, instead of being like grateful of like, wow, thanks for having my back, all this stuff, has continued to antagonize her, gaslight her, and basically just make her life a living hell for no reason.
Right.
And it's and that's why it's even more confusing, shocking to see people who have such promising careers like Dababy do stuff like this.
Right. And I think it's important too to say, like, the report is that Megan was like trying to leave the car and he shot her in the foot. It wasn't like she was antagonizing him. Not that she would deserve to be shot for that,
Right.
but she was trying to get away from him and he shot her in the foot. So I just have no respect for it, no time for it.
And other trash men that I'd really like to quickly talk about is Lil Uzi Vert, who I think, you know, for some reason, there's that little video that goes around of him all the time that's like, oh, I don't know, it's my third day out here. And it's like, oh, he's so cute and funny and charming. And he's dating someone from the City Girls. And they're just in this little very odd relationship, but it works for them. Within the past couple of months, he has put like a $20 million diamond, stuck it into his forehead because he wanted to be like a character off of Steven Universe, which is a cartoon. Okay. Already tells me that you have too much money if that's what you're doing. And doctors have said you need to remove it by a professional and carefully, otherwise you could do serious damage to your brain, skull. What? It was also reported this week that he has bought a planet. Who do you talk to about buying a planet? How much is this planet?
Probably Jeff Bezos. Just continue.
I mean, I guess at this point, I'm like, is it like buying a star where it's just kind of arbitrary and you're like, oh yeah, I have a star out there, but no one really can check that?
Yeah, is it like adopting an animal that's at a sanctuary? I don't know.
Right,
it's probably a little
right.
bit more, I would assume, but who knows?
And I saw that Elon Musk like verified it. So I'm like, is it Elon Musk? Are you the head of the planet buying brigade? It's just very odd to me. And those are the stories that we have been focusing on and laughing and kikiing about. But I was just also made aware of a story of just like 2 weeks ago where he pulls up on his ex-girlfriend because she has a new guy and he was mad about it, punches her so badly that she has to go to the hospital, and also pulls a gun on her and the boyfriend. But yet the stories that we're seeing are him like breakdancing at a party with Beyonce and putting a stone in his head and buying a planet. And I just want us all to do better. Not us, because here we are, the Black women trying to do the real stuff and keeping people accountable. But I want everyone to continue to focus on what really matters here, and is that we need to support Black women, protect Black women, and not just use it as a little slogan to put on a purse, but actually go out here and do it.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. I could not pick Lil Uzi out of a lineup. I couldn't. But that's probably a good thing based on the things you were telling me. So
yeah. If you just look at the lineup, it's the shortest person there. That's all I'll say.
Well, I mean, they could give me all short Black men, and I'd be like, but the diamond in the forehead does do a lot. Does a lot. Right? You know, like I'm like, I don't
is it Tory Lanez? Is it Lil Uzi Vert? Yeah, it's giving Napoleon complex for all of them, really, at this point.
Yeah.
Some more happy news. Issa Rae.
Yes.
Who is the writer, producer, director, star of Insecure, got married this week.
I love that for her.
And what was so fun about this, if you're not a fan of the show or know who Issa Rae is first of all, huge actress, absolutely love her, and cannot wait to see what she continues doing after Insecure, which is on HBO right now, and the final season I think will air later this year, is that she's only kind of like showed up to a few events with this guy. So like you knew that they were like, she was dating someone, but you never really knew the status, any updates, didn't know she was engaged, didn't know, I mean, perhaps that it was serious, but again, if you can only see them dispersed, you're not really ever sure. So she just pops up as like, surprise, I'm married. And that was the first time she had ever posted this guy on her Instagram.
That's beautiful. Got married in the south of France. Beautiful ceremony. Pictures looked wonderful. Custom Vera Wang dress.
Is that what you would want for your life? Or you're like, no, I got to show out a little bit more. I want people to follow every step of this journey so I can feel loved and adored. Because that's me. I'll be honest.
Okay. So it's kind of anti-Leo of me to say, but I don't know that I want a huge wedding. That is always the thing. Now, do I want a small destination wedding? Yeah, I do. So like we're still spending the money. It's still a big deal. Right. But like I don't know that I want a huge wedding party. I don't know that I want like 200 people there. Like it's going to be small and intimate, you know. But I do appreciate that she like didn't post her man until she was married, because there's that meme, you know, that goes around that's like, I'm not going to post another man until the ring's on my finger. And she really said,
bet,
I'm serious about it.
And don't talk about it, I be about it. It's very African to me because, and that's why I was like, is she Nigerian? Is she a West African gal? Because that is the approach. It's either all go all out or like literally move in silence, like the G in lasagna, because you just pop up. I think it has a lot of stuff with superstition and thinking that people will put those bad vibes onto you or the jealousy, and they'll, be in your comments, be like, oh, well, I dated him, 3 years ago, and he was telling me all this stuff in bed or whatever, just getting messy with it for no reason.
Right.
So I can appreciate that from this sense. I think if I were to ever, by some oddness, have a child, I could see myself doing that, where I'm just like, surprise, here's this baby.
I know, I thought that too. I don't want to say I'm committing to it as a content creator, because someone will be like, remember in 2021 when you and Tomi were talking about weddings and you said you were going to have a small wedding? Like, I don't want to commit to it, but I just feel like there's something attractive to me about like moving in silence and like having it be really special and secret.
Mm-hmm. Just focus and intimate and just,
just
all about
me.
you.
Just about me. Not even my husband, just me.
Yeah. But it's kind of the complete opposite of what J-Lo and Ben are doing right now.
Can you imagine if they got married? I mean, I don't think they're going to make it there, but if they got married, this wedding, gosh, I want to go. We have to like jump the fence.
It'd be wild. Wild. I didn't realize, so there's a theory going around right now with Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck that they're trying to remake the, not Love Don't Cost a Thing, Jenny from the Block music video, shot for shot. Because as they've been seen out, it's been very reminiscent to that time back in the day when they were dating and they made that music video together. And I'm like, is it all for promo? Surely not, because the 20th anniversary for that music video isn't until September of next year.
It's weird. And then I saw yesterday she was like out wearing a necklace with like his name on it.
At 50, her big age, at 52.
I mean, she had like updated it, so it wasn't like the one you're thinking of with like the cursive
letters?
Writing, but it was like the individual letters.
Yeah, no, I
today.
saw that.
And
I was the same thing from Amazon, girl. What you doing?
Right, that's what it looked like, and I was like, I know that's not an Amazon necklace, so I'm embarrassed.
This is not the time for Pandora.
For her, like when she bought the watch, even if he did, I'm not here for it.
Even at this time now, I'm like, let me move out of the Southern phase where I feel the need to have a monogram everything. It's hard.
We're saying no to monograms.
It's hard. I'm fighting it every day. I'm fighting these demons, but the Lord, He is with you every step of the way.
We need to exercise those demons, okay? We're done.
But yeah, J-Lo, I want better for you. If we are saying hot girl summer all the time, I think there's nothing wrong with her doing a little fling with an old ex. Sure, have your fun. But I can't imagine the chaos of having two people who are so into themselves being together. And I think that's probably why they didn't work out in the first place.
Okay, so everyone was talking about like how it was very Leo of her to like make a birthday post, and then she like, this is the first post of him on Instagram officially. Mm-hmm. But one of my Leo friends made a good point. She was like, it is, but she was like, what's not Leo is going back to your ex. And I felt the spirit of the Leo gods come down. And I said, that's absolutely right. Because let me ask you, would you go back to an ex?
I mean, I have one ex and he was a freaking racist. So
no.
No, but I mean stories for another day, children. No, I think also just like the mentality of, even if I had like really great exes, my pride, I really don't think. Now, if he was a multimillionaire, I think the pride would get smaller and smaller. I'm not.
But if
you
were a multimillionaire too, we talked about this last time when we talked about the watch, it would be different, right?
It is different. The playing field is even. There's no need. Why am I going back to the mess for people to drag me, for me to be triggered by every comment you say? I'm like, this reminds me of that one argument we had in 2004 when you wouldn't give me, a cookie when I was 1 and 1. Something like dumb shit. Like, I just feel like there's no good. And that's also why I feel like it's difficult for me if I were to ever be like in a cheating situation. Like, I just don't know how you get over that, get past it, of like going back and having to talk it out and through. It seems exhausting to me.
Yeah, I'm not someone, I don't wish ill on my exes, but I'm not someone that's like, oh, I'm so friendly with my exes. Like, we stay in contact, we're talking to each other. So like, for me, the whole concept of getting back with an ex is just it's above me.
Yeah, I agree. My final thing is I want to touch on the Olympics. Olympics. Real quickly before we get into this. First of all, with Megan Rapinoe and Sue Bird, who are engaged. I don't think they're married. Are they married?
No, I think I was going to say just engaged. They're engaged.
They're engaged. Which I love both of these women as athletes, individuals, strong allies, all this stuff. They have launched a CBD company, which, great, good for them, in partnership with cannabis, all this stuff. And there have been a few news articles saying cannabis is taking the world stage at the Tokyo Olympics. But this is in like direct contradiction to what happened to our girl, Sha'Carri Richardson, just a couple of weeks ago, where she was, kicked off from these trials and all this stuff because she used weed after her mother died to help her cope, and she wasn't allowed to race anymore. Yet these people are competing, promoting this company, and it's not giving that same energy.
So I saw the article but didn't read it. Is it a CBD company or is it a cannabis company?
So it's cannabis products. That's all I know. That's all the article says is cannabis products. So I'm assuming it's a little of both. And I think because they are based out in California area, West Coast, it might have a little bit more. But it is just very odd. I feel like if it was me owning this company, I'd say, can we pause the ads? Cut the cameras dead ass right now, just because like you understand that this is going to look bad, that the black girl got in trouble for it, but here you are getting money. And I think that's just a very, like not reminiscent, but like a good indicator of how the state of this country is with weed currently.
Yeah, there's two different standards. I mean, it's with everything in this country, but like especially with like legal issues, like white people are held to a different standard than people of color and black people are.
There are hundreds, thousands of people who are incarcerated right now for using weed, having like a small amount of it on them. But you have people who are making millions of dollars every year in the same industry. It makes no sense.
Right. I was talking to a friend about it recently because they recently legalized marijuana in Virginia, and it's like super small amounts. It's very like iffy.
For medical or recreational as well?
Recreational as well. And but like the ACLU here was like, we are recommending to people of color to not partake in these things and not have this on your body because we know you're held to a different standard. Like, and it's sad that has to be said.
Right. Yikes. I mean, ugh. I even talk about like Delta 8 and like how much I love it and stuff on my Instagram stories with CBD, and how that has done wonders for like chronic pain when I have trouble sleeping, and just like with stuff with my medication that causes me trouble from sleeping. And to know that it's something that's a lot more like healthy for you. It's not necessarily like a narcotic. And people are fighting it now, like pharmaceutical companies of not letting that happen because they want to get their money and stuff back. And it's just like, why are we doing this? We're trying to create a better quality of life for people. If you're going to make health insurance so difficult to have and access to whatever people need, and take away this wonderful opportunity that's not even that expensive, it's just like, make up your mind.
Yeah. I know I've been hesitant to like try anything CBD because of that. And like, I know there are people who take the drops or whatever and then have gotten positive drug tests. Yeah. And so it's just, I feel like there needs to be, I'm going to say regulation, not regulation, but like it needs to be legalized, and like there needs to be a federal stance on it.
Correct. In other Olympics news, today we've just learned about Naomi Osaka was eliminated. Very heard about that. But also Simone Biles pulled out of team event for gymnastics, right? Due to mental health issues. She did like the vault, and she kind of like turned away from her normal routine of what she was supposed to do in midair, and kind of landed weird. And you could see on her face when she landed just what that did to her. I don't know if that like was part of rocking her psyche to where she felt like she needs to pull out from the future events or what, but it was just really hard and difficult. And I know she must feel like so much pressure because gymnastics, I'm pretty sure, is the number one watched event for the Olympics. And knowing so many people are counting on her, and she doesn't even have that support system from her family who would typically be there. So it has to be a lot to kind of deal with on such a large world stage.
Yeah, I feel really bad. I've been reading a lot of the articles she did leading up to Tokyo.
Hmm.
And I just feel for her. You know, she talked about how she felt like it was important for her to go to Tokyo because she was the last remaining elite gymnast impacted by the Larry Nasser scandal. And she felt like if
Hmm.
she didn't go, USA Gymnastics would kind of continue to sweep it under the rug. You know, she talked about, she did an interview with the Times I saw this morning where they were talking about all of her achievements. And they said, you know, what's your favorite thing about gymnastics right now? And she was like, honestly, my time off. And so I think she is someone that is, excuse me, has been burnt out and has had a lot of weight put on her shoulders to carry this team, which is unfair. And, you know, the judges have kind of robbed her in some ways of that. Like, they don't mark her as high because they think she's better than
Right.
everyone else. And, you know, and so like she's really been like punished for being excellent.
Incredible. Yeah.
And so I can't imagine like the mental like strain that has. I'm hoping she'll be back for her individual events, but you know, we will not be tolerating any Simone slander here.
Not at all. I mean, definitely fingers crossed that she'll make it to the individual events. I just was trying to check and see what her age was too. So she's 24, and most of the Olympics, when you see gymnasts, it's like they first of all only get one shot, so they're pretty much there from the age of like 16 to maybe 20, and that's it. But to do it as many times as she has, and not only like doing it but dominating it, and still here at 24, like is a feat in itself. So I know that's also taking a physical toll on her. So again, fingers crossed that she'll end up being okay and able to come in, do her thing in the individual events. If not, that's okay. And she's still going to thrive afterwards because I will keep up with whatever influencer content that she'll be shilling my way.
Yeah, she's phenomenal.
Yes. I think that's really it for what I have in terms of pop culture this week.
Okay. Do we want to talk about Love Island at all?
Ooh, just like a quick little schmitchets.
Quick rundown. We won't go backwards. So the past week has been Casa Amor is the big
Mm,
thing
mm.
happening. Casa Amor opened.
Well, who did we lose also in this last week?
We lost Amy,
Yeah.
Wes, Giovanni, and Florita.
Yeah. Were you shocked? Because I
I
was shocked.
was. I was. We were texting about this because I was so sure it was a combination of public vote and then
Mm-hmm.
Islander vote. So the public voted, ranked the couples, or they voted for their favorite couples.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last six couples, three couples were there,
Mm-hmm.
four couples were there. The Islanders got to save one couple, so they saved Cinco and Trina.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were six Islanders up for elimination, and the girls got to save one boy, and the guys got to save one girl. So the men saved, I was kind of shocked, Olivia.
Uh-huh.
And the women saved
Jeremy.
Jeremy instead of Giovanni, which is what I thought they were going to do.
I could not fathom. I thought I was like, finally, we were getting this guy out because I have found him boring, not giving anything. I was tired of his Tarzan looking face. Like, just get out of here. And Giovanni was giving me like comedic moments every episode, and so I kind of might have summed it up to I was like, perhaps just super annoying to deal with 24/7. Because I know for me, like it makes sense of Olivia over Amy because she was an OG and you feel like this tie to keep all the OGs and stuff. So, it's fine. But then you have Giovanni and Jeremy are both people who have been there since day one. So why go with this guy that whenever he's on screen, I feel like, oh my God, let me roll my eyes versus the person who is making everyone laugh. And, I really thought if Cash and Giovanni coupled up, they would have easily won this show. So to see him leave now, I was very shocked.
Yeah, I was stunned when it was Jeremy. I was like, "What?" Um, so that was disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
And then next episode was Casa Amor opening up, like starting that. And
Mm-hmm.
so Corey kind of became our comedic person since Giovanni's gone. But I couldn't help but think, what if Giovanni were here for Casa Amor?
Exactly, and that's what I was really mad about. I was like, if he just gets to Casa Amor, like he'll be smooth sailing because he can find a new person in there. It'll be like really comedic moments of him being like, "Oh my gosh," and like vlogging that entire experience. And I thought it was interesting with the whole Trina Cash Cinco triangle that what is it? Cash has kind of now heard this revelation from Cinco that he's like, no, actually, I do like you more. And this thing with Trina is just not going anywhere. Do you want her to get back with Cinco?
Okay, well, he hasn't told her yet.
He hasn't.
So what happened was Olivia and Cash made this pact to like act on their feelings. Cash goes to Cinco and says like, actually, I still care about you. I think you're the person I want to be with. I was embarrassed for her, but I'm not someone that's going to like bare my soul to anyone, really.
I mean, we just said we're not going back, only forward.
Exactly, right? So I was like, I can't relate to this, but like, more power to you, I guess. I don't really love it. And then Cinco says like, I still have feelings for you, but like, I need to sort through this, whatever. He tells Trina, she's crushed. And then Casa Amor starts. And like the boys, before they know it's starting, go to lunch. And he tells the other men, like, yeah, I do think I'm better suited with Cash than Trina.
I feel bad because in the real world, that's just dating, But in here, it feels a little bit more flip-floppy.
Yeah.
And so I hate it that they're not bringing in more dark-skinned Black men, women, so that this is not too much of an issue. But this is what we have to deal with. And so I'm excited for Casa Amor just in the sense that Cash can open up and find some other people and perhaps remove herself from the messiness. I really wish Trina would do the same thing, but right now I'm feeling the vibes that she's like a little too depressed about the entire situation to put her heart back out there again. And I almost kind of want her to leave after Casa Amor because I think it's doing a lot to her, and I want her to like save her mental health. Olivia is giving me nothing again, and I'm so mad that she's still here. And I saw the guys coming in, and I was shocked that none of them went for Olivia, and that they like all said Cash or Shannon, and people who were just not really as available.
Kira, yeah, exactly.
Even though I'm like, the easy ticket is Olivia, right?
It's Olivia and Cash.
Yeah, it was very funny. So I'm like, oh, you're going for Cash because you know that people love her and you want to win this thing.
Exactly.
So that's why I don't trust them. I don't trust them that much. So we'll see.
I did love that she's getting attention.
Yes, precisely.
As she should.
As she should. In the guys' villa, it seems like chaos is about to go down. Do you think that Will's head will like really turn in there? Or is he just like, oh, I'll have some fun with this, but just to see?
He seemed into that kiss with the new girl.
And then there's a preview.
Kira was over here like kissing men on the cheek, and I was like, oh, girl.
Right when she did it, I was like, I know you're about to split screen to some...
And they sure did. They sure did. I was like, oh, they did her dirty.
Yeah. I really... My wish would be that Josh would bring back the girl that is friends with Shannon.
Yes.
Just so Shannon can see that and mouth drop. Yes. And then... I don't want Will to do that to Kira because I think my heart will break for her.
Yes. And even though I don't want Cash to get with Cinco, I don't really want him to get with one of the new girls either. It's too messy.
Yeah. I think at this point, I'm like, bro, don't do it. I don't think he's a bad guy. I really don't hate him or anything. So.
Yeah.
It's too much. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so that is Love Island. We're excited to watch the rest of this week. We'll see what happens. We'll keep you guys updated next week. And let's get into Men Tell All. I'm going to be honest. This is my least favorite episode every season.
Yup.
Like, you think it's going to be drama, and it just doesn't feel. It feels very manufactured, which is the vibe I got. If you saw like them bringing someone from the audience in to kiss Connor, and she was already mic'd up. It felt manufactured, right? So it is lovely that we had Caitlin and Tayshia hosting Men Tell All for the first time.
Sure.
We had the men.
I was about to say, how did it start off though for the episode?
But it starts off. They start us off, and they're like, "We're going to give you a little snippet, a little drink, but we're going to leave you thirsty." So we see Michael. He's talking about hometowns. He's excited. And he gets to FaceTime his son, and he's talking to him and his son. He's not bringing his son to hometowns because he feels like it's going to be too confusing to him. And he's not ready to get him involved yet, which I think is totally fair. But then his son says to him, he says, maybe daddy doesn't want to see me.
Ugh.
And the son goes to hang up and he's like, no, no, don't hang up. And you see Michael talks to him for a little bit longer. He gets off the phone and you can just see how like crushed he is. He starts
Yeah.
crying. The producer that's in the room is crying with him, is hugging him. I know those producers love Michael, as they should.
Yeah.
But he's just like really crushed. And so we just see him. He's like, I don't know what to do, but like my son comes first.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of know what's going to happen. We see him go to Katie's room. He sits down with her and he just says, I just had this conversation with my son and I just never want him to feel like he's not the most important thing in my life. And so, I really care about you, but I need to go home. And Katie's crushed. She's kind of all over the place. Like, she's like, I just think we could have gone to the end and like it could have been us. But she's like, but I understand. So he leaves. She's crying. And then we begin the Men Tell All.
Do you believe her that you think that she's like, I think it was going to be us at the end walking away from this?
I did not believe that. To be honest.
Not either. I'm like, girl, you were not moving to Ohio.
Right. And Michael says that actually when he's talking about like them, he's like, she lives in Seattle and I live in Ohio and we haven't talked about that. I feel like at this point, it's sad. It's like, like that saying that's like, don't be the hero so long that you like see yourself become the villain or whatever. I feel like that's Katie because when we saw her on Matt's season in the beginning, it was like, she's bold. She's like standing up to other women. And now it's like, it just feels very performative all the time. Like she's trying to make good TV. It doesn't feel real. Like she's like, I thought it was going to be us, and it's like, okay. Or it's jumping into Andrew's arms or whatever it is. It just feels like she's very calculated in how she's approaching things with this show to me.
And I also understand Michael of saying like, it'd be too confusing to his kid to bring him for hometowns. But let's say that he stayed. I kind of feel like that's awkward for Katie to not be able to meet this kid if they were to get engaged. Like maybe production would find a way to like bring him in for when it's like final 2 dates or something like that if he made it further. But to be in that type of position and you weren't ever gonna let her meet him and then you might get engaged, like
I kind of see both sides. Like I can see why Michael as a contestant wouldn't want to introduce her to his son until he knew it was him.
Right.
At the same time, I like what you're saying. I wouldn't want to get engaged to someone with a child without ever meeting the child.
Yeah. It's like, hi, I'm your new stepmom. Like, it's just very odd. I mean, regardless, I knew from the beginning, once he was cast, so as a kid, I was like, nope, it's not happening. I'm sorry. So it was not a shock necessarily that he was leaving. It was more the shock of her saying all of these things. I think it did hurt because obviously he's such a good guy and like you don't want to in the way that it happened. But yeah, I did not believe her. So
yeah, I mean, I think they had a connection. I think they had a top 4 connection, but I still think that like Blake has a stronger connection. I still think that Greg has a stronger connection. I will not say that about Justin because I'm not going to lie to you.
I can't. Just go.
So I mean, there's not a lot to say about Men Tell All, people. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't like this episode. I don't like it. Okay, it's not my favorite episode.
Yeah,
here's what happened. We rehashed all the Thomas drama. Katie accidentally calls Aaron Thomas. That was probably the funniest moment of the episode to me because the men all started screaming. Aaron was so offended. Katie was like, "Oh my gosh!" Tayshia and Caitlin were like, "It was hilarious." Thomas wasn't there. He like Skypes in. I still am very confused why Katie has all of this like heat for him. I'm talking about the Nick Viall interview. Because he's like super apologetic and he's like, I'm sorry that like I took things away from your experience. So I thought he handled it really well, like as best as he could.
And Trey makes a comment earlier in the Men Tell All talking about there's a comment I saw online that says everyone thinks about being the Bachelor when they're coming on here. He's like, no, they don't. That's ridiculous. Not on night 1. And I'm like, exactly. And I also don't think people are thinking I'm coming on here to be the Bachelor, besides Colton Underwood, whatever. But I think how can you not think one of the people in this room will be the next Bachelor? Like, that's just how the show works. It's not saying that it's in a malicious sense. It's just you understanding the environment that you're in. I honestly am more mad that you would not think that, because then I'm like, what do you what are you doing here?
Yeah, I kind of rolled my eyes when Trey said that because he was like, I can guarantee no one up here thought that. And it's like, okay, but
Bullshit.
the whole premise of the show is that one person is going to be the final one, and then
Mm-hmm.
of the rest of you, someone is going to be the next bachelor more than likely.
Mm-hmm.
So you know it's a possibility. It's something you think about. Maybe you're not thinking I'm going to be, but you thinking about it.
Right. Yeah, and I don't think in terms of the edit that we saw this evening, I don't think you can give it to Michael A. I know he's in strong contention for it, but I did see some screenshots of they're like, "Oh, we're now casting divorcees, single moms and whatever for The Bachelor." So I'm like, "Is it?" But in the history of the show, they've never given it to someone who like self-eliminates. And I feel like especially of how this was of like, "Oh, I don't have my kid." So maybe the thing will just be like he'll get to bring his kid with him.
Which would be like a Jason season.
Right, right. I just don't know again if he and I don't know him. I don't know him personally. I don't from what I see, I don't think he is ready to do something like this because production there's some crazy people and this man is too pure and I want to keep him far far away
Yeah, I
from
think
this
he should
show.
say no if it's offered.
Yes.
Although it would be hard to say no if it was offered because what an
Money,
opportunity.
success. I will tell you I don't think I would watch. I'll be honest. I don't think that's the type of season that I would be into. What is
He
it
would be
giving? What is it
he would be a
giving?
kind of bland lead. You know,
More
he's
than
not
bland.
messy. He's not messy, which is
Right.
good from like a dating perspective, right? Or like
Right.
a real life
From a
perspective.
person.
But from a reality TV perspective, I don't think he's dynamic enough to be a lead. Andrew S did seem to kind of continue to get his like bachelor audition tape.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Happy for him, I guess. You know, seemed fine. Not really
Sure.
a lot of commentary. Connor, they brought up to the hot seat to talk about how he's a bad kisser. And he says that he texted a couple of his exes. Again, I could never, but happy for him.
But I think in that situation, yes, I need to know because if you're like they're 100% going to air that because it's going to be really awkward.
Pride would have me not texting any of my exes. I'm sorry. I wouldn't. I'd be like, it's between me and God if I'm a bad kisser.
What do you do from that point though? You just go through life being like, okay, so I was on national TV and people said I was a bad kisser, so
I would definitely try to kiss someone before everything aired, you know, so that
Same.
I could like get
then,
some feedback.
And then ask them.
Yeah.
Swiping on Tinder, you go meet up, hook up, and kiss. Like, okay, so here's a survey.
Yeah, like you know, you've seen the TikToks of where people are like they send guys that they went on dates with like a Google Doc of like, why didn't you ask me out again? Yeah, I would just do that. I'd be like, so how would you rate it? How was it? More tongue, less tongue?
Oh my gosh.
Were my lips chapped?
Mess.
So yeah, so he's up there, and then out of nowhere, a contestant in the audience is like, Connor.
And he's going.
Show. Yeah, he's trying to figure out where she is because it's like,
yes,
who is mic'd up? God? God?
Is this a moment?
This conventionally attractive woman in the audience is mic'd up, and she says, I watched the show, and you know, like, I know you can't be a good kisser.
You're a bad kisser.
A bad kisser, you know. And I'd like to prove that. And he's like, okay. So she comes down, or they meet in the middle, and they make out. And then Tayshia and Caitlin are screaming, and they bring her to the couch. Comes out after the show that there was actually a casting call for someone to potentially kiss Connor.
Oh, I mean, 100%. Because I'm like, she's gorgeous also. So
she's a musician.
Right.
You know, she just dropped her single yesterday.
Good for her. Good for her.
You know what? Capitalize on it, honey.
Do what you need to do.
My favorite part of that whole segment, though, was Andrew in where the men are in the men's audience. He was screaming, "Go get him, Tiger!" the whole time they were making out, and I was like, "My God!"
Again, you could just tell of how all the people respect and love Connor. They were cheering for him, and that was also why I want to get to this point, which is how he defended Hunter, which I have done on this very same podcast, ladies and gentlemen, because I feel like Hunter was the victim of a bad villain edit. Because what was the villain reason? There was none. What was the reason? And so they asked him, like, you know, did you fall in love with her? Did you love her? And James is kind of attacking him on the stage. But Hunter he's like, no, it's different because they asked me, are you in love with Katie? And I said, no. why is he about to get into this deep conversation with these random people about where he is with Katie? It's not on him to continue that. So he was like, I'm sorry if I misspoke and didn't say the perfect words there. I did say I was falling in love because I was asked a direct question. He could have said no at that point too, but like, do you know if you're going to get that time to tell her that later in that date when people have been attacking you? So for Connor to say no, I was his roommate. I think he's a good guy, and he was definitely falling in love. I'm like, good, co-signed.
And then James tried to interrupt, and he was like, James, you're wrong. And I was like,
Right.
oh,
Boop.
let him know.
He said, don't come for me and mines. And I loved that.
I did too. Carl, okay, this was confusing. The Carl segment. So Katie comes out. They're talking about the Carl stuff. All the guys still are mad at Carl. And Katie's like, I'm sorry I sent you home, but I felt like if I kept you, the environment would have been toxic. And she's like, but you were right. What was he right about?
Ooh. Multiple men there, not there for the right reasons, I guess. People.
Interesting. Maybe some.
I agree that it was a little convenient because who was it? Maybe it was Trey again saying, oh, you said it was multiple people here, not for the right reasons, but then you just confirmed here now that it was Thomas that you were talking about.
Right.
So it's like, so who are the other people?
Is it some foreshadowing?
Dun, dun, dun.
We'll find out.
We will find out. Yeah, Carl is the one guy that I'm like, no, he can go.
Yeah, I was ready for him to go. I was like, the drama's too much. You can send him home.
Right. And I mean, I understand if I'm Katie with any of those 4 guys that were first attacked, Cody, Carl, Thomas, and Hunter. If you're not feeling them like physically at all anyway, might as well. Like, yeah, this is too much drama. This is too much work. Just go. Stop wasting my time, your time. It's better for everyone.
Also, I think this is the most we ever saw Brendan speak.
Right.
I was like, fam, your Paradise audition, that's great, but like, we don't need this right now. It's too much.
Yeah, I think it's because he realized he got no screen time on TV because he didn't chime in enough, so he's trying to do it now.
Yeah.
Get that bump.
I guess. We see the bloopers, which were kind of shocking to me because we see a lot of Greg dancing. And I've said here, I feel like Greg has the personality of a wet noodle, overcooked, a little rubbery.
Yeah.
And he seemed fun in the bloopers. So I was like, are we getting a bad Greg at it?
I also thought Michael A was very funny in his bloopers, like the stuff from the little not bumper cars, whatever you call those, cart things, and then something else that he said too was just like pretty hilarious and off the cuff. So it's not so that he would be like not entertaining as a bachelor, but yeah, he's not messy. Like he'll just have little funny moments like that, but they never like to show those from the lead anyway. So I think it'd be even worse. Right.
So bloopers were a highlight, and then they showed the preview for the rest of the season. We have hometowns next week, and then the Monday after that, we will have a 3-hour finale.
Oh my God.
I know. I was like, 3?
I said,
really?
Yeah, I heard that.
Do we have to?
And we'll actually cast. He said, excuse me. Why the frick?
I'm like, just put in less commercials and make it 2. Come on.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't think anything from the trailer like really stood out. Is there anything that you were like, oh, shocking? Like it wasn't for me anything that we hadn't seen or didn't know about coming.
Yeah, I mean, Men Tell All is what it usually is, which is boring, especially with this season where there was no real drama, so it was like even more awkward to me. And the trailer, I think obviously Justin has to go home at this point. Like he's been here too long already. There's absolutely no way, unless one of these guys self-eliminates, that he's making it to top 2. And at that point, Katie, you need to also eliminate him. You're like, no, we'll just have the top 1 because you're not supposed to be here, bro. I don't really see anything from the trailers and stuff coming up. It doesn't look that appealing to me in terms of hometown. I think the real drama will probably happen when it's in the top 2, if there is any drama.
Right. So that's really Bachelorette news. We've seen now a preview for Bachelor in Paradise. We have Michelle's potential men released yesterday. That's on Facebook.
Yeah.
And that
Quick
is
thoughts
really
on those.
I didn't do a deep dive on them. There were some good-looking men
Yeah.
on her season, so I'm excited for her. My king Bao was not on the list. But
Thoughts
I
and prayers at this
did
time.
thoughts and prayers. I did have someone, because I commented on a post about it, someone replied to me and said that like there's some like sexual assault allegations in Bao's past, possibly. I want to be like very clear. I did not do any deep diving on this, so
Okay.
do not know the details at this time. But I was like, oh,
Ooh.
so I'm gonna do a deep dive on that today,
and we'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see if Bao will be on any upcoming seasons or not. But yeah, that's really I thought there were some good looking guys. It was a very diverse cast. And they looked, at least on photo, better than the cast now to me.
Yes.
And usually they do look better once they're like on TV as well. So I'm like, it can only go up from here. They're really trying to reel me back in, but I don't know, Bachelor Nation. This might be my swan song, but we shall see.
I mean, I'm not going to leave Michelle hanging. I'll say it. We watched Katie's season. We will watch Michelle's.
Okay, yeah, that's very, very fair.
Support Black women.
Okay, should we get into our roses of the week?
Sure. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
Rock, paper, scissors. I'll go first.
Okay.
So my rose of the week is the wonderful Maria Taylor, who we shared about earlier on this podcast about her kind of coming into the throes of this drama between another newscaster, sports announcer, Rachel, who is a white woman who tried to assert that Maria was only there for diversity's sake and getting all these top spots. Now that she's been in the business for close to a decade and was also a college athlete herself at an SEC school, but none of my business. Maria took all of that and said, you know what? Sure, ESPN, thanks for your support. Not. And said deuces. She hosted the finals and did all that she needed to do for the NBA, got that check, and then moved on. And she's now doing stuff with the Olympics with NBC. I don't know where she's supposed to be like after that, but I'm very excited because I'm like, that's some real bitch moves.
Well, I did see, moves. So I did look into this. She is going to be doing commentary for the Super Bowl. Okay, so our girl does not step back. Like, she is getting
level up,
moves.
Level up.
Exactly. And I loved how she, like, they didn't announce that she was going to be moving to NBC because her deal with ESPN, I think, ended like Wednesday. And then she just popped up in Tokyo, like, for opening ceremonies. And they were like, and we're going to throw it to our new colleague, Maria Taylor. And there she was, looking fabulous.
Yikes. ABC, you're having some misses left and right. The Chris Harrison scandal, the Maria Taylor thing. You gotta tighten up.
Yeah, they need to do a lot.
Mm-hmm. All right, you.
My rose of the week is to Lil Nas X and his premiere music video.
I know that's right.
Industry Baby. We talked about this last week about some of the hype leading into it, how excited we were for this music video to drop. And sometimes you get so excited for something and then it drops and you're like, oh, it wasn't what I expected, or like it wasn't as good as anticipated. Not the case here.
He understood the assignment.
He did. The music video is themed about being in jail, like we talked about with his Nike scandal. It's like he goes to jail for the demon shoes, the hell dancing on the devil's lap. But what I loved about it is that he made his music video premiere a fundraiser for the Bail Project, and he's to date raised over $43,000.
King shit.
His promo is funny. I have friends that are not even into pop culture that were like texting me about this, and they were like, "Did you see his tweets about it?" And I was like, first off, I live online, so that's insulting. Right? Like, I literally, my house is on twitter.com.
This is my domain.
Right. But he's just been so funny. The music video was so well done. He wrote the entire treatment himself, which I'm like, oh, king. Jack Harlow was featured on it, one of our friends' favorite white men.
Not this friend. Just
not Tomi, one of our outside friends. And Jack Harlow did what he needed to do on his verse, I guess. Looked great, and just the dancing, the choreography
by Sean Bankhead, who also this year has choreography for Up, Wild Side with Normani, Twerkulator with the City Girls. So this guy's also staying booked and busy. So I love that for him, and that's why the choreography was also poppin'.
On point. Loved it all. So Lil Nas X, I cannot wait to see what's next for you. I know he doesn't even have his debut album out yet, and he has Grammys. So
Correct.
cannot wait for the album. Really excited for him.
Yeah, again, like I just think what it must mean to all of the little gay black boys, brown boys out there who are like, look at this representation of someone who is an artist and killing it and very unapologetically themselves doing it. I'm over here like grinning ear to ear whenever I am watching these videos and stuff because it's just not like anything we've ever seen. To see him doing it so like with pride, I love it. I love it. I stand.
He doesn't try to like come down to anyone's level. Mm-mm. Like I feel like some people, he's just like, this is who I am. And I'm like, yes, let's go. So Lil Nas X for everything. Give that man his flowers.
Heard it here first. All right. I think that's all we have this week.
It is. Thanks so much for listening, guys.
Feel free to make sure you subscribe, rate, review. You can also watch this video version on YouTube on Fridays, and that's YouTube, Content Culture Pod. Follow us on Instagram at Content Culture Pod, Twitter, Official CC Pod. And that's all we got. Thanks for listening, guys.
Bye, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.